Good morning, it's July 7th. This is To My Liberal Friends, and I have to wish a happy birthday to my sister. On Saturday, President Trump signed the tax bill that was passed in Congress on a partisan vote. The latter part of this is what distresses me. No Democrat would cross the party line and support the bill. A couple of Republicans voted no, but Democrats cannot support anything that Donald Trump proposes because it goes against their narrative. They call the bill a tax relief bill for billionaires. Notice Bernie Sanders and his ilk do not use the term millionaire anymore because he's one himself. Here's a career politician that came to Congress with no wealth and suddenly he has 3 homes, millions of dollars, and flies around on private jets for his barnstorming campaigns against capitalism. Wow. What the tax bill did was extend and make permanent the tax cuts and brackets from 2017. Democrats did not want to raise the taxes on average Americans. And if they were in charge, they would have extended all of those brackets with the exception of the top one. In 2017, the top bracket was reduced from 39.6% to 37%. This was done because it was an across-the-board 10% reduction in taxes for everyone. Now, before I go any further, I think for political reasons, the Republicans made a mistake in 2017 and compounded it in 2025. I would have left the top bracket at 39%. It only affects taxable income for a married couple filing jointly above $751,600. Not a lot of people, and who have taken away the Democrats' main talking point. What Democrats like to focus on is the dollars taxpayers save in their tax bills. They will tell anyone willing to listen that the, quote, wealthy get so many more dollars. What they will not mention is how many dollars those people are paying. If you have a tax bill of $100,000, you would see a savings of $10,000. That's the 10% cut. But you're still paying $90,000 in taxes. If you had a tax bill of $4,000, you save $400, and you still have a tax bill of $3,600. In both cases, you got the same percentage cut. The term the Democrats love to use is fair share. Have you ever heard one single Democrat define what that term means? Here's what they want you to think it means. Someone other than you should be paying more taxes. It's a blatant play on individual greed where the message is let someone else pay for the things I want and I think I deserve. Now that the bill is passed, Democrats have taken a new tack. According to them, Republicans are gutting Medicaid and other safety net programs. But once again, they're hoping you don't look past their histrionics and see what the bill actually does. They're counting on the reality that the majority of people only hear what they want to hear and will follow along like lemmings. On the issue of Medicaid, the Republicans put in a simple change. They required able-bodied adults to perform some form of work, education, or public service in the amount of 20 hours per week. The work requirement does not apply to anyone that is disabled, pregnant, or caring for a child younger than 14. All of these people still qualify for Medicaid. States have handled work requirements for food assistance and other cash assistance for decades. The system is already in place. They're also going to cut Medicaid by a certain amount, but even the HHS has indicated there is so much fraud in the system that they catch that, there's really no cut. As the Foundation for Government Accountability notes, when the Arkansas experiment with work requirements in Medicaid, enrollees only had to report work once, and it was easy to do so. The state cross-referenced wage and employment data, and folks could also self-attest online or call a hotline. The Democratic position is Medicaid should be a free universal benefit to men who refuse to work. And I'm sure you have no problem that these men that would prefer to sit at home playing video games and getting government medical care and other benefits. Why should they have to work when you're working to provide those benefits? The GOP bill would also include sensible measures such as asking states to check their Medicaid expansion rules every 6 months and more scrutiny on Obamacare subsidies. That's necessary because the Biden administration waived millions on the health entitlements. The Paragon Institute estimates that 6.4 million people are fully enrolled in subsidized Obamacare plans but don't meet the eligibility criteria. And that's what the Democrats want and what they support. The bill's changes to food stamps are also modest and rooted in the tenet that work is central to upward mobility. As a refresher, the program currently requires able-bodied adults without dependents to work about 20 hours a week. That's the current status, or lose those benefits after 3 months. That 90-day dispensation allows those who suffer a setback time to get back on their feet. Now hear that again. The SNAP program already requires able-bodied adults without dependents to work 20 hours a week. Sounds like what they want to do with Medicaid. By checking up on people, it is hoped that many of those recipients that are scanning the system will be cut off. I know this exists because I know of 2 members of my extended family that are on Medicaid or SNAP and work under the table so that their income's not reported. Maybe I should report them. You'll hear Democrats say the Republicans have gutted these social programs. That's categorically false. What they have done is slowed the growth of these programs. They will still cost more money each year, but the goal is to incentivize people to look for work, to get jobs, and eventually get off the government dole. Be contributing citizens in our society. We had to do something. Almost 25% of Americans are now on Medicaid. It's unsustainable. It occurred because of what I mentioned before, the Obamacare subsidies and total expansion of who can qualify for Medicaid. It is the Democrats' first step toward creating a universal health care system that the government pays for everything. On SNAP, the amount spent on the program now tops $100 billion and keeps growing. The American people are generous when it comes to taking care of the truly vulnerable, but we should be a country that encourages opportunity and not become a European welfare state. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.